Hey beauties, we've made it to part 4 of my Declutter series. If you're new to my channel, my name is Nat. Part 4 is eyeshadow palettes, my favorite category. We'll go through my entire collection of eyeshadow palettes, from mainstream to more affordable to indie brands, from quads all the way up to 42 pan palettes. It's probably going to be another long one, so get comfy, grab a snack, make sure you have a drink, or get cozy and let me lull you to sleep. I hope you enjoy checking out my collection. Let's get into it. Welcome to my favorite category of makeup. It's my eyeshadow palettes. We have a ton to get through, so I'm going to do some swatches, but I'm probably not going to swatch every single palette, or at least every single shade. I kind of have them organized into groups. They're not alphabetical. This grouping is more mainstream and a little bit of randoms. Let's start off with this super old palette. It's so old that the name of the palette is rubbed off or it's come off. This is actually a Sephora brand palette. I used this palette mainly when I still had the salon space and I was super busy. I didn't have a whole lot of time for my makeup, so I mainly stuck to the light shades, as you can tell, and I used this black for my eyebrows. Back then, my makeup looks were very basic, very simple. I had my eyebrows done, mascara for sure, eyeliner, and yeah, just a light shade on the lid. Some days I didn't even wear foundation, or if I did, it was just a quick powder foundation. That period in my life, I didn't even wear concealer. It was just mainly blush, some lip gloss, and yeah, quick eyes, mainly so I just didn't look sick or unwell. But anyway, as I was saying, this palette is super, super old. I haven't used it in over a decade, so I'm getting rid of it. Here's the Soft Glam palette from ABH. This was actually my first palette when I decided I wanted to get back into makeup. It is on the older side, but I have used it recently and it's still good. So you can judge me if you want, it's okay. And even if I don't end up using this, I'm hanging on to it for memories, because like I said, this was the first palette that I got for myself when I wanted to journey back into makeup. This palette, in my opinion, is a classic. The formula for the mattes and the shimmers are super smooth, they're pigmented enough and easy to blend out, and mainly I got this palette for this orange soda shade. At the time, I was trying to replace a discontinued shade from MAC, and this shade was the closest to that shade. But then I started using all of the other shades in this palette, and yeah, this palette is super special to me, so I'm keeping it. Sticking with ABH, this is one of the Norvina collection palettes. This one is Pro Pigment Palette number 4. This one I haven't used much, as you can tell, but I would like to, because look at all these fun shades. This color is my favorite, like a hot pink fuchsia, but I think when I started using this palette, I stuck to the neutrals, and I haven't really given any of the pops of color a fair go. So this palette I am going to hang on to, and hopefully finally get some use out of it. I actually picked this palette up at Winners for some kind of low price, I don't remember, but yes, I'm hanging on to it. Here we have from Dominique Cosmetics, it's the Essential palette. Is that what it says? Yes, Essential palette. This is relatively new to my collection. I've only used it one time for one video. I picked this up in Palm Springs when my husband and I went for our very first weekend getaway without our kids to go visit my uncle. I picked this up at Ross, I think for $12.99 American. I quite enjoy this formula. And like I said, it's pretty new to my collection, so I'm hanging on to it. Here we have from Laura Geller. I got this in an Ipsy subscription. This is the Laura's Essentials Candy Cravings 12 Multi-Finish Eyeshadows, 1 highlighter, and 1 blush palette. I honestly thought it was just okay. The formula is nice, but what I mean by it being just okay, it's for my preference. I prefer quite pigmented eyeshadows. I like visible makeup on my eyes. These shades are all pretty soft. They are nice, and I think this formula is mature lid friendly. And I think I'm actually going to declutter this, but I don't know if I've tried these blushes or the blush and the highlighter. I think they're just okay. Yeah, I am going to get rid of this one because maybe one of my friends can get some use out of this one. Here is my one Pat McGrath Labs palette. It's the Mothership Mega Celestial Nirvana palette. When I first got this palette, same thing, I mainly stuck to the neutrals. This palette has a beautiful formula. I've heard that lately Pat McGrath's eyeshadows have been a little bit on the lacking side, but this palette I think is beautiful. I'm going to hang on to this, and this is going to go into the category of actually pulling it out to use the colors. I don't even know why I haven't dipped into the colors of this palette, but that's one of my goals for this year. So we're keeping this. Oh yeah, and if you're wondering why my nail color is different, they're stained from one of my clients yesterday. This is not a new set. They used to be silver chrome, but now they're somewhat pinky purpley. Here's my one Tom Ford quad. This is a cream quad in 46 Ember Bronze. I picked this one up during one of the most recent Sephora sales, like the year-end sale, and I'm super happy to finally try out Tom Ford's formula. To be honest, the formula didn't blow me away. It's nice, but since last year I started really digging into indie brands. I feel like nothing compares to indie brand formulas. However, I did like the look that this quad created, so I'm hanging on to this one. Here's a palette from One Size Beauty. It's the Patrick Star Visionary Eyeshadow Palette. It's pretty neutral with a pop of color, just this one blue, which I actually haven't even tried out yet. I used to shy away from blue eyeshadow, but during last year, I really encouraged myself to push myself out of my own box. And now that I no longer shy away from blue eyeshadow, I would like to finally try this shade out. The formula in this palette is decent. To my memory, I actually haven't used this palette in quite a long time, but I do still want to hang on to it because, like I said, I want to try out this blue shade. And because, like I said, this is my one and only One Size palette, but actually, I don't even know how many palettes Patrick Star came out with. Maybe this is his one and only palette. I'm not sure. Either way, I'm keeping this palette. Here's a little palette from Glowcore. It's the Mystic Earth eyeshadow palette. This came in one of my Ipsy subscriptions. I do like this color story, but my preference in a palette is I like to have deeper tones. This could be deep enough, but because I haven't even touched it and my preference is more pigmented eyeshadows, I'm actually going to declutter this, give it away to a friend, or include it in my giveaway box. Here we have 2 random palettes from Amazon. I got these mainly for our Halloween costumes. I've been a vampire many times for Halloween, and I usually use a combination of those 2 shades to contour my face. For a super inexpensive palette off Amazon, the formula is not that bad. However, I've never tried these on my eyes, so I don't know what kind of looks they would actually create. Maybe I'll challenge myself one day to actually use these palettes on my eyes. But like I said, I use these palettes for our Halloween costumes, so I'm hanging on to it. And then same thing, this one I got for Halloween. I mainly stuck to the deeper red tones when I use this palette. But yeah, I feel like this palette, okay, this is super glittery. I feel like this palette is decent for, I don't even remember, it was like under $10 or something like that. This one is super flaky glittery. That one looks like it would be the same. I don't often use a glitter glue, but if I were to ever try out this glitter shade, I would probably have to use a glitter glue. Let's see, I'm curious. I've never even swatched these satins. Oh, that looks pretty promising. Oh, that's actually quite nice. Look at that. I should try out some of the other shades in this palette and put them on my eyes. All right, keeping this one. Next, let's talk about some of my Huda Beauty palettes. Okay, this one I think is the first one I got from Huda Beauty. If I remember correctly, I picked this one up in Hawaii a few years ago, so it is considered old. But I really enjoyed this formula when I got it at the time. Like this kind of chocolatey brown shade. I found them to be super creamy. Like this one still feels good. This one is questionable. At the time when I picked up this palette, I actually really enjoyed the looks that this palette created. And at first I was thinking that I am going to hang on to it just for memories or whatever. But truthfully, I don't know if I'm actually going to pull this palette out. And these shades, I can find something similar in a bunch of my other palettes. So you know what? I am going to get rid of this one. Next, these 2. I was so unimpressed with this formula. Like, the color story I thought was beautiful. I was so excited when these palettes were released, but they're just not good. They take forever to build up. Although these swatches look decent, I think of the two, this palette was better. Let's see. Because yeah, look, I haven't even touched those. Because they just did not go on the eyes well at all, in my opinion. Did any of you guys experience the same thing? Yeah, I just did not like these. I think the palettes are cute, but I'm going to get rid of these as well. Okay, this one, I think is not like an actual Huda Beauty palette, just judging by the size, but at the same time, I've never seen this palette in actuality, so I don't know if it actually is slightly smaller than the Pretty Grunge palette, but this Naughty Nude palette I searched for. It was sold out everywhere, and I can't remember which website I found this on. Let's see. But yeah, this is why I feel like it's a knockoff. It doesn't have the same kind of stuff. So yes, I think this is a knockoff palette. I tried using the shades. I found that every shade that I tried ended up looking the exact same on my eyes. And look, they're not even that awesome. Did I say already that I felt like every single shade kind of looked the same on the eyes? But anyway, this palette I'm also going to get rid of because, like I said, I think it's a knockoff. If this palette were actually the real thing, I would probably hang on to it, even though I'm not a super fan of Huda Beauty products. She has some hits, but for me, a lot of them are misses. So yes, let's get rid of this palette. But this Pretty Grunge palette is one of my favorites. And I have yet to actually try out this grunge shade, which is actually the whole reason why I even bought this palette. I really wanted to play around with like a greasy black looking type eyeshadow. And for me, this is like my ideal neutral mainstream kind of palette color story with some basic neutrals over on this side, leaning into some purples and mauves on that side, some high impact shimmers. I even really like this avant-garde shade. Like, look at how interesting that is. So yes, I'm absolutely hanging on to this one. Oh, and I actually just wanted to follow up by saying I'm actually a fan of dark shimmers. I don't always like it when palettes only have light colored shimmers, because my preference in an eyeshadow palette is contrast. My preference for my eyeshadow looks is contrast as well. So that's why that avant-garde shade from the Pretty Grunge palette is one of my favorites. Now on to Viseart. I have two palettes. This one is and excuse my French, I've said this a bunch of times, I'm Canadian, but my French sucks. So the Cyranouse, the Cyranouse Étendue. These two palettes are my only two from Viseart and my first experience with the Viseart formula. I do like the formula, and the looks that I create with this palette specifically are nice for when I want a soft look. Like, even though there are some pops of color in here, still, in my opinion, nothing compares to indie formulas. But I'm still keeping this palette. This is the Petite Four palette from Viseart, and in the shade Violetta. I don't really have an opinion on this palette. Like, I do like that it's got some depth to it. And this shade is pretty interesting. So even though I don't necessarily love this little quad, I'm going to hang on to it. Here we have a little compact from M Cosmetics. It's the Divine Skies eyeshadow palette in the shade Faded Clementine. And this palette was so kindly gifted to me by my friend Sarah over at Revamp and Radiate here on YouTube. And I actually really enjoy this color story. The shimmers are creamy. The mattes are pigmented enough and they blend out nicely. I actually enjoy this little guy quite a bit, so I'm hanging on to it. And thank you again so much, Sarah, for sending this to me. This is a palette from Il Maquillage. It's called the Color Boss Squad. Multidimensional eye color in the shade The Real Deal 990. This palette came in one of my Ipsy subscriptions. And if I remember correctly, it's just okay. Like, the look that this palette created is nice enough. The shadows still feel pretty buttery, so I'm going to hang on to it. Oh, actually, I really like this shade. And yeah, I'm going to see if I get more use out of this year. This little palette is from Dibs. It's the Dibs Palm Palette Coffee in Hand. I think I only tried out the mattes when I used this palette. Oh, that's pretty soft. Not really pigmented though. Kind of a sheer satin. But I picked this up at Winners for a super inexpensive price, and I haven't fully utilized these 6 shades yet, so I'm hanging on to it. Here's my little palette from Charlotte Tilbury. It's the Pillow Talk Dreams Luxury Palette. I do enjoy this quad. Again, it's not mind-blowing or anything. It's good for everyday kind of neutral looks. I keep it around in case I want to travel with it, so I'm hanging on to it. Alright, this palette, the Tartelette Juicy Amazonian Clay palette, I got in one of my Ipsy subscriptions, and this is my first experience with Tarte eyeshadows. The color story is pretty basic, but I actually enjoyed the look that I created with this palette. So I'm going to hang on to it and see if I actually pull it out again this year. But yeah, in general, this palette was better than I thought it was going to be. I was pleasantly surprised. Here are my 2 Makeup by Mario Neutrals palettes. This is the original one, I think. The Master Mattes. And there was a period where I used this palette like every single day. But then I started noticing that whenever I used the black shadow, I always had fallout. I had like little specks of black under my eyes. So I've basically stopped using these palettes as my everyday palettes, but I still like the formula. I'm going to hang on to it. This is the Neutrals one. Yeah, Master Matte's the Neutrals. The second palette that he came out with in this kind of series. I'm not ready to let either of them go yet. Here is my Hung Van Gogh palette. I chose the new neutral. This palette ended up being better than I thought it was going to be, because when I went in store to swatch his eyeshadows, I was actually very unimpressed. Especially the color options that he has in his line. They're scratchy. They just didn't feel nice. However, I'm happy that I still picked this one up and gave it a try, because I actually like this palette more than I thought I would. In my opinion, the formula is decent. It's not mind-blowing, but I do love how deep this shade is. I do love the contrast to this color story, and this palette is relatively new to my collection, so I'm hanging on to it. This is my Patrick Ta Major Dimensions 3 palette, and this palette I loved from the start when I first got it. Sorry, there's a hair in here. But then after purchasing this one, trying it out, and discovering that I did love the formula, I kept discovering new brands, new eyeshadow palettes, so I kind of forgot about this for a while. But then about the second half of last year, I pulled this out again, and now this palette has become my everyday palette. So whether I'm using the neutral browns, the warm side, and the cool side for my everyday looks, or the light shades and the dark shade to accompany my colorful eyeshadow looks. But yeah, I love this formula. It's super buttery, creamy, pigmented, but very easy to blend out. And especially this row, the shades, I love the tone to it. So I'm hanging on to this one. Now we have my 2 Danessa Myricks Groundworks palette. This one was the original one. I did love it when I first got it. But again, this falls into the category of perhaps I was trying out too many eyeshadow palettes all at the same time to actually get full use out of this palette. I love the concept. The bigger pans are cream shades, and then the smaller pans are powders. They're all removable, which I think is pretty awesome if that's what you like to do with your eyeshadows. In general, I like to keep my palettes the way that they come, and this palette might be on the old side, but I'm still going to hang on to it and see if I actually get any use out of it this year. And if I don't, I'll declutter it at the next time. This is the Blooming Romance version. And when I first got this palette, I loved it. I love the tones of this palette. You have some pinks, a mauve, some mauves, some deeper warm leaning browns, some berry tones, But then again, yeah, after purchasing this one, I went down the rabbit hole of what other eyeshadow palettes are there out there. So this one got forgotten about, but it's not because I didn't love the shades or the formula or the tones of this palette. It was just simply there was way too much for me to discover. So same thing, I'm hanging on to it to see if I actually pull it out this year, and I hope I do, because I really did love this palette. Here we have my 3 YSL compacts. These 3 I actually purchased off one of my friends from our Nikki LaRose Facebook fan group. She had several of them brand new, still in box, that I think she picked up at some warehouse sale, so I was super happy to buy these off her. She sent them with such care. They were all bubble wrapped. They all came intact, brand new, but I honestly haven't gotten that much use out of them. Not because of the formula or the shades or anything. So I am going to hang on to all 3 because, like most of my palettes that I've been talking about, I really want to use them again. I really want to see what else I can come up with while using them. This one is in the shade 600. This one is 200. Here, let's do this. Let's open them all up. So this was 600, 200, and this one is 400. Since I picked these 3 up, YSL released a few color stories that piqued my interest, but honestly, I kind of held off because, again, around that time, I started really digging into indie brand palettes, and you're going to hear me say this so many times, but there's nothing that compares to indie brand formulas. If you like color eyeshadows, if you like pigmented eyeshadows, if you like bold, strong looks, but for a mainstream brand and a luxury brand at that, the formula of the YSL quads is pretty awesome. Hang on to these 3. Here's my declutter bin, and out of 32 eyeshadow palettes from this batch, I'm getting rid of 7. And here's a quick glance at the ones that I'm keeping out of this batch. Now on to my Natasha Denona collection, which I can tell you right now, I'm not getting rid of any of them. Even though there are some palettes in this collection that are a little bit lacking in my opinion, I'm still going to keep them for now. Let's start off with these 2 5 pans. I got these in my Ipsy subscription. This one is called Hot Topic. It's pretty boring looking at it, but the formula was nice if I remember correctly. Yeah, they're still, look at that. These satins are buttery and pigmented. So even though for my taste, this color story is a little bit on the boringish side, I'm still going to keep it because you never know. My taste might change this year. This one is called Rose and Wood. This one only has 1 matte, but I appreciate that it's a deep matte. So you can pair this with any of the shimmers. Let's check them out. Yeah, again, kind of boring for my taste, but I think these shimmers are pretty, so I'm going to hang on to it. Sometimes I'm in the mood for a boring eye look. All right, now on to the minis. This one is the Mini Glam. If I remember correctly, I think this one out of all of my minis is probably my least used thus far, but I would like to see and rediscover what this palette can do. Oh, look at that. So I'm hanging on to it. Now we have the Mini Nude palette. These minis I love for travel. And out of the color stories that I have, this one is probably my second least used, but I still like it, so I'm hanging on to it. Let's check this shade out. Ooh, pretty. All right, this one is probably my favorite. It's the Mini Bronze. The formula in this one is one of the best, and I enjoy this range quite a bit. This one almost always comes with me when I travel, so I'm hanging on to it. This one is the Mini Biba. Another one that I really love. And honestly, I don't even know why I haven't picked up the full Biba palette. Maybe in the future. But yeah, this one often comes with me on travel as well, so I'm hanging on to it. This one is the My Mini Dream. I also really like this one. Same thing. This is like perfect for travel. You have a range of mattes and then 2 shimmers. This one creates like the perfect eye look, in my opinion. And the My Dream Midi is actually my favorite. It's coming up. Here we have the original Mini Eye Sculpt. She has since come out with a cool version, which I actually sent my mom hunting for. She recently traveled to Hawaii. And she asked me, is there anything you want from Hawaii? And then I told her, I'm like, oh, Natasha Denona just came out with a new mini eyeshadow palette. So her and my stepdad went hunting, but even though it was released already, they couldn't find it in store. So I don't know if it's just because Hawaii's so far away or whatever, but she was unable to pick it up for me. But that's okay. I'm now actually on the fence with that palette. I don't know if I do want it or not. But this palette comes with me every time I travel. It has the perfect black matte, some mid-tone colors, and a light shade. I love this one. Now on to the midi-sized palettes. Starting off with the Xenon palette. This is probably one of the ones that I've used the least thus far. I do enjoy the contrast in this palette. I know my husband loves this palette and keeps encouraging me to create looks with this palette, so I'm going to try to do that this year. I wish I picked up the mini of this as well, because I know in the mini there's some shades that I feel would really go well with the midi-sized palette. So yeah, maybe I'm going to put that one on my list. Next is the My Dream palette. This one is my favorite out of my collection. I just love this color story. All of the different formulas are beautiful, easy to work with. I just love the looks that this palette can create. Here we have the Golden palette. This one didn't really blow me away. I am happy to have it though, because I would like to actually utilize the shimmers a bit more. But I find this section of mattes, they're all kind of the same on the eye, which that was a little bit not so impressive. But still, I'm keeping this palette, like I said, to utilize the shimmers. This is the I Need a Warm palette. This one I actually prefer over the Golden palette. You just have a little bit more diversity in the shades, even though same thing. A few of them are pretty similar. But I feel like there's still a little bit more options in colors and tones in this palette compared to the Golden palette. And in general, for mainstream eyeshadows, Natasha Denona is one of my favorites. So I'm hanging on to this as well. Here's the Bronze palette. I got this in one of my Ipsy subscriptions, and I was super happy about it because, like I said, the mini palette of the Bronze is one of my favorites. I love these tones. And yeah, this one is relatively new to my collection, so I'm hanging on to this one. And I just wanted to say, if there's any of the eyeshadow palettes that I don't swatch or shades that I don't swatch, but you're curious about it and you do want to see swatches, just leave me a comment and let me know, and I will get that done for you guys. But yeah, this one is one of my favorites. Here we have the Retro Glam palette. This one is the newest one to my collection, and it came in one of my most recent icon boxes. I like this palette because it's fun and different from what I normally gravitate towards, and the look that I created with this palette actually turned out better than I thought it would. I had fun using this palette. And also, I really like this packaging. Alright, now we have the Roxa palette. I was so excited for this palette when it was released, like so excited that I actually picked up 2 and I gifted one to my mom because purple eyeshadow is her favorite. Purple is her favorite color in general, but I was a little underwhelmed with this palette. I don't even mind that this color story has some warmer red tones, but yeah, this one just didn't blow me away like I thought it would. Actually, I've never even used this shade. Hold on. I should actually use this palette more before I talk about it. Because those look kind of pretty, right? Alright, putting this in the pile of let's try and use it some more this year. Next is the Yucca palette. I love this color story, but I haven't had a chance to fully utilize it, to fully try it out, but I am excited to. I just think this color story is so interesting and so neat and very remnant of the Yucca Valley. My husband and I went to Joshua Tree, was it last year or the year before? Man, time is flying by. Anyway, I would like to finally use some of these shades, they're untouched, and see what this palette can create. Okay, now we have the Bloom palette. This palette actually impressed me. I really enjoy the tones. Same thing, I would like to get more use out of this palette this year. But yeah, out of the I Need a Warm, the Golden palette, and this palette, this one is my favorite. And look at this. This cover art was based off a water painting that Natasha Denona did, I'm pretty sure. It's just so pretty. Okay, and lastly we have I Need a Nude. This is everyone's favorite palette. I truthfully haven't gotten much use out of it, or as much use as I would like to, because I feel like this color story creates very soft eyeshadow looks. There's a time and a place for it in my life, but in general, you guys know I prefer bolder eye looks. But I still enjoy this palette. Some of the shimmers are quite pretty, and yeah, I'd like to dig into this palette some more. Alright, so as I've already said, I'm not decluttering any of my Natasha Denona palettes, and I've counted them. This is a total of 18. Now on to my Colourpop palettes. Starting off with this little quad. I got this as a gift with purchase, I think with one of my orders from Colourpop. This is the Sparkler Pressed Powder palette, and it's actually one of my faves. This is the quad that I used in my go-to look. These 4 shades are perfect for me and how I like to do my makeup. I usually do have to dip into another one of my palettes just for a lighter shade for underbrow highlight, but this little quad always comes traveling with me. The mattes are pigmented but blend out super easily. And these shimmers, they're just, like, look at that. I'm not sure if these types of quads are still purchasable on the Colourpop website, but if they are, I highly recommend you try it out. Because with Colourpop lately, I haven't experienced it myself, but I keep hearing that there are hits and misses with their collab palettes. There's some palettes that still have their good formula, and some of the newer palettes that are a little bit lacking with their eyeshadow formula. But my experience in general with Colourpop is that for the price point, they're pretty incredible eyeshadow palettes. This one is one of my favorites, so I'm hanging on to it. And another disclaimer, at this point in my eyeshadow palette collection, I actually don't know if I'm going to be decluttering much. But anyway, let's carry on. This is the Of Quartz palette. In general, these 9-pan palettes that Colourpop has put out are pretty good quality. The only reason why I haven't used this palette as much as the other ones is mainly the color story. I always like to have neutral cool tones in my collection. I just don't always reach for it. But let's check out these shimmers. See, like, they're pretty good. They're still creamy. So yeah, I'm actually a fan of all of these 9-pan palettes by Colourpop. The quality of these palettes, regardless of the price point, in my opinion, is still fabulous. I'm hanging on to this one. This is the Wannabe palette. I haven't pulled this one out in quite a long time, and honestly at first I thought I was going to maybe declutter this palette, but let's take a look. Let's revisit these shades and see how I feel. This one's a little bit looser, like a looser glitter type. Still pretty though. Okay. These ones didn't swatch as nicely as the other palette. Let's check out this matte shade. Okay, that's still pretty nice. You know what? I think I'm still going to hang on to this palette as well. Like I said, originally I was thinking maybe I should declutter it because I haven't used it in a while. But truthfully, when I was shopping at Ulta, my daughter picked out this palette. So it has a little bit of a special place in my heart. So I'm going to keep it for now. But wait, first I wanted to explain a little bit. What I appreciate in a palette is depth, contrast in tones. I like my eyeshadow looks to have a bit of lightness to it in certain areas. There's different shimmer shade options, and there's a deep enough tone for my outer corner. So looking at this palette again, I actually want to try it out on my eyes. That's also why I'm hanging on to this palette for now. Next we have That's Taupe. Is that what it says? Yes, that's Taupe. This color story is obviously pretty neutral, pretty basic, but sometimes I'm still in the mood for a pretty neutral, basic palette. And yes, you guys are going to discover that I actually have a few of them. But even swatching these shimmers right now, they feel good to the touch. So let's see. It's a nice little topper. They still feel smooth. And again, this palette, even though the color story is a little bit on the basic side, it at least has depth in the tones, so I'm hanging on to it. Now we have Going Coconuts. We're now into the hard plastic 9 pans. I don't have a preference over the hard plastic packaging versus the cardboard packaging, because usually what I care about is just the shades and the formula inside. So Going Coconuts is another neutral color story. I haven't used this much. Okay, this shade, this one right here, it felt a touch grainy, just slightly grainier than this one felt. This one was super smooth. I'm not ready to part with this one yet, but let's take a look. Bringing back That's Taupe. See? They're different enough, in my opinion. And then let's bring back Of Quartz. I mean, there might be some similarity of both of these in this Of Quartz, but like I keep saying, all of these items I've purchased myself, and I'm not doing a declutter just looking to get rid of things. If the formula is still good, I'm going to hang on to them because you never know when I might want to pull one of these out. So yes, hanging on to this one. Okay, next is one of my favorites of the 9 pan palettes. I'll show you. These three, this one, Orchid You Not, Wine and Only, and Wild Child. These three are my absolute favorite. And I usually travel with either all three or at least one of these 3 palettes. So let's take a look at Orchid You Not first. I love these tones. And I feel like you get a variety within this monochromatic palette. This one is a little bit more cool tone. This is an awesome deepening up shade. These shimmers are incredible on the lid. You get a variety in your shimmers. I love this palette. The mattes are pigmented and easy to blend out. A fantastic 9 pan palette. Of course, I'm hanging on to this one. Wine and Only, another awesome color story, in my opinion. Same thing as the Orchid palette. The shimmers are great. You get a variety of tones. The mattes are pigmented, easy to blend out. I love this color story too. Like, look at that. That's so silky. These satins, I guess these are more satins than shimmers, but they're just Like, look. Super pretty. I love this color story too. Wild Child. Another one of my favorites of the 9 pans. I keep saying the same thing, but I love these ones for travel because the packaging is sturdy and the price point is affordable. So even if they were to get damaged in travel, picking up a new one or picking up a replacement won't really break the bank. But yeah, this color story too. Look at this. They're just smooth. This one's a little bit on the glittery side, but at least you get, but look at that. You get a variety of shades, a variety of finishes. Look how smooth that was. But yeah, like I said, this one is also one of my favorites. So we're hanging on to it. Now on to Blow and Smoke. I haven't used this one much, but I do love it. Like, look at this. The quality is fabulous, so I'm hanging on to it. Now on to the 30 pan palettes. This one is Matte About Hue. It's an all matte rainbow palette, and I don't know if you guys can see, but I've only dipped into a few shades in this palette. I love having a variety of rainbow shades for the times when you're creating an eyeshadow look and a certain palette's colored shade is a little bit lacking or a little bit not quite what you had hoped for. You can pop into a palette like this and grab any of the colors to add it to your eyeshadow look. I do love shimmers, but I'm a matte girl at heart. So I'm hanging on to this. Now we have Stone Cold Fox. This palette can give you a variety of neutral looks. The quality in these 30 pan palettes, in my opinion, is fabulous. And although I don't often pull this palette out, I do like having it for the times where I do want to do a neutral look. I just feel like this palette offers you a variety of neutral eye looks, so I'm hanging on to it as well. Okay, and actually this Precious Metals palette is my favorite of the 30 pan palettes. I love this color story. I love the variety of shimmers that you get in this palette. The mattes are pigmented and easy to blend out. The quality of this palette is outstanding in my opinion. You get a range of depth and a variety of shimmers. I absolutely love this palette. Of my 12 Colourpop palettes, we are decluttering none and keeping all of them. Here are my 2 palettes by Juvia's Place, and I'm keeping both. I've learned last year that Juvia's Place got into some kind of trouble over something an influencer said, but it doesn't bother me. Like, how do I explain this? Specifically with this brand, it was thought that they were being racist towards Asians. More specifically, something to do with our eye shape. I can tell you personally, it doesn't offend me. Our eyes are different. I feel like comments made by fellow human beings are just comments, and it is up to us as individuals how we want to take it, how we want to interpret it. But don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that I don't have feelings towards racism or that I even could condone racism, but I feel like in some areas in life, we need to think about the situation as a whole or not take things so seriously or grant grace to fellow human beings. A lot of things that are said are not meant to be derogatory. They're not meant to be offensive. If an individual chooses to take it offensively, then that is their right. That is their choice. But like I said, I don't know all of the details because I actually shy away from drama, but I don't believe that an entire brand could be racist towards a certain group of people just by one comment made by a creator. Anyway, let's get into these palettes. This is the Berries. I absolutely love this palette. I've traveled with this palette multiple times. I love these tones. I'm pretty sure I started out my channel using berry shades. I love purples and pinks, and the formula of this palette is fabulous. The mattes are pigmented, but easy to blend out, vibrant, like look at that, gorgeous. I know I just mixed it with the color that's on my thumb, but just so good. Here, let's do the shimmers. Like, look at this. The coloring is just beautiful. Every time I've done my eyes with these shades, I've loved the look. So I'm hanging on to it. This is the Coffee Shop palette, and I love this palette as well. The formula in this palette is incredible. You get depth and variety in the shades. You can create a variety of looks, and same thing. These shimmers, these satins, oh, like this one, it's so buttery smooth. This one too. This is a fabulous palette. I also hope that with what I said about racism and whatnot didn't offend anybody. That wasn't my intention. I'm also not excusing poor behavior by human beings. I'm just saying that sometimes if we don't know the full story, or it's just the fact that sometimes I feel like we don't grant fellow human beings grace, enough grace to express themselves. That's all. Hanging on to both of my Juvia's Place palettes. Okay, now on to this batch of palettes. The majority of them are from Morphe, but this one is a random one. I don't even remember where I got it or when I got it. It's just a palette of neutrals. And I guess the brand is Essentials. I don't even know what brand this is. Almar Essentials eyeshadow palette. I don't even know if I'd even actually use this palette. They feel nice, but they're not super impactful. This one I am going to declutter, because maybe one of my friends can get some use out of it. One of my friends that prefer a softer eyeshadow look, this would be beneficial to them, so I am going to declutter this one. Okay, now the rest are Morphe. This is a giant 35XO palette called Natural Flirt. It's got the plastic with the shade names. So same thing. I got a bunch of these palettes just because I was curious, but I haven't gotten much use out of them. This satin feels nice. The quality of these palettes are kind of on the mid side, just in comparison to the rest of my collection. You know what? I think I'm still going to hang on to this because I actually love eyeshadow palettes. They're my favorite product of makeup. Like, I love opening a palette and checking out what shades there are. Like, I like the aesthetic of an eyeshadow palette. Call me weird. I'm not quite ready to part with it, is all I'm saying. Next is 35C Everyday Chic. This is a variety of shades, a funner color story. Honestly, it's been so long since I even opened up this palette that I didn't even know what to expect. But now looking at these satins, I'm curious. I don't even know if I've used this palette on my eyes. I'm going to hang on to this and see if I actually get around to using it. Here is 35O Supernatural Glow. I think this one was a favorite for many people way back whenever it came out. I do enjoy this color story, so I'm hanging on to this one as well. Here we have 35T, Sweetest Tea. This is a fun color story. I haven't used it much. I think I've only dipped into some of the neutral shades. But yeah, I'm going to hang on to this one as well. Okay, these three palettes, in my opinion, have an awesome formula. In comparison to the bigger palettes, I feel like These 9-pan palettes formula is just slightly better. The mattes are a little bit more buttery. The shimmers are a little bit more smooth. I actually really love this color story. Of the three, this one and this gold one, they're my favorites, actually. This palette, I feel like, is better than the Golden palette by Natasha Denona, mainly because I feel like the depth, the contrast in this palette is a little bit more. This gold shimmer is a little bit more impactful than any of the shimmers in the Natasha Denona palette. I didn't film it, but I actually used this palette one day and I used the Golden palette the very next day, and I liked the look that I created with this palette more. And again, Morphe is very affordable. This palette I've used the least just because of the color story. In general, I used to prefer warmer tones for eyeshadows than cooler tones, but late last year and now moving into 2026, I'm venturing back into cool tones. So I'm going to hang on to all three of these palettes. But wait, first let's show you this shade. Look at that. It's so smooth and buttery, and look at, that's incredible, right? All right, so I have 7 Morphe palettes. I'm decluttering none. But of this batch, a total of 8, I am decluttering 1. Here we have Beauty Bay. I absolutely love Beauty Bay's eyeshadow formula. This palette holds a special place in my heart because I started out my channel with this palette. It's the 42 pan Berries palette. Just look at this color story. My preference, of course, is something smaller, more easily manageable like this, like a 20 pan palette, 24 pan palette. But I do appreciate the range of shades in a 42 pan palette. The Beauty Bay formula blew me away, and especially for the price point. Of course, ordering from the UK, there's duties for us upon arrival. But even with the duties, I feel like it's worth it. These mattes are pigmented, super easy to blend. The satins and shimmers are just gorgeous. Like, look at this. You get an amazing range of depth and tones. The mattes are buttery, pigmented, super smooth and soft. The Beauty Bay formula, in my opinion, just makes creating eyeshadow looks super easy and fun. So like I keep saying, because I absolutely love the Beauty Bay formula, I am decluttering none of them. I'm more just showing you, in case you haven't seen the inside of any of these palettes, how beautiful they are. So again, this was the Berries palette. I even picked up the nude 42 pan palette and the neutral. I think it's the nude and the neutral, but those two I gave to one of my best friends and work partner and housemate Johnny, and he loves them. But next we have the Rich palette. And look at this color story. So many options. And even though the majority of these tones are on the richer, deeper, more impactful side, you still get some mid-tones and a few shimmers in the lighter range. I absolutely love this color story as well. I think out of all of my Beauty Bay palettes, to date anyway, the Berries palette, this Rich palette, and the Fiery 2.0 are my most used. And yeah, if there's any eyeshadow palette in my collection that you would like me to go more in depth with, perhaps swatching all of the shades, just leave me a comment and let me know. And I guess that goes for the rest of my makeup collection too. If there's something in any of these declutter / look at that, collection videos that you see and you want to see more of, or you want me to showcase it, leave me a comment, let me know. Again, this was the Rich palette. Here we have the Fiery 2.0. Another fabulous color story. We have some bright shades. We have some neutral shades. I keep saying the formula is fabulous, incredible, super easy to work with, and having all of these shades can really facilitate some creative, colorful looks. Like, let's check out this one. Like, look at that. This one's a little bit more shimmery. Still beautiful and fun. I love, love, love these palettes. And Beauty Bay often has crazy sales. I think when I picked up a bunch of these 42 pan palettes, they were like 60 to 80% off. Or I purchased them in a bundle for some crazy affordable price. And the quality, I keep saying this, but the quality is just incredible. Let's switch gears a sec and move on to this Mini Charms palette. It's a 9-color palette. Let's take a look. Ooh. Wow. I think this just kind of got lost in my storage area of where I keep these palettes, and then I just haven't pulled it out yet. I need to put this one to use. Because look, fabulous. Next we have the Celestial Charms. This was their Christmas palette or holiday palette for 2024. Check out this super fun color story. You have some jewel tones. The mattes are deep and interesting, but you also have a light shade, a light matte shade for underbrow highlight, or for inner corner if you prefer a matte inner corner. Some people prefer a shimmery inner corner, but you have those options. I personally love deep shades. And look at, wow, look at that. Let's check out this shimmer. Whew. Gorgeous. I actually remember creating my birthday eyeshadow look for 2024 because my birthday is December 20th. It's at the end of the year, falls within the Christmas season, the holiday season, and I use this palette. I need to pull this beauty out again and create some more looks. All right, back to the 42 pans. This one is the Smoky Smoky Smoky. I actually placed an order at the end of 2025 with Beauty Bay. I picked up a bunch of things and I got, I think is it a 16 pan palette of the smoky version? I can't remember exactly the number, but it's a smaller version of this smoky palette and I'm putting that in my giveaway box. But same thing, a multitude of shades to create smoky eye looks, ranges of grays, taupes. They even put in this super beautiful kind of blue purple shade. This shade's awesome. Now we have the Bright Matte 42 pan palette. Check out this rainbow palette. Even with the rainbow range of shades, you get a whole row of neutrals, gradient from light to dark. I don't know if you can see this, but I haven't even touched this palette. The colors are just so vibrant. I almost don't want to touch it because I like the way that it looks, but I do have plans to one day break into this palette, either create a rainbow eye look, something along those lines, but I keep saying this, I'm going to say it again, I love Beauty Bay's formula. And lastly, we have the regular Bright 42 pan palette. So the difference between this one and the all matte version is they've included some shimmers or satins within the rainbow. So I'm sure a lot of people might think that owning both of these bright palettes is redundant. But like I said, this palette has some shimmers in it. Still haven't touched it, but I love the way that this looks. And I can't wait to actually try them out someday soon. So I had 8 Beauty Bay palettes and I'm decluttering none. Here are my 3 Cosmic Beauty, formerly known as Cosmic Brushes, palettes. This one is the Gothic palette. It's a 12 pan palette. And look at this. I absolutely love this color story. This is a matte black with a little bit of a pink and purple shimmer in it. The Cosmic Beauty formula is outstanding. They've managed to keep their price low as well. But look at these shimmers. Isn't that incredible? Look at that. I love purples. I love pinks. I even got this palette to gift to my mom. Next, we have the Muse palette. It has 20 shades. And this color story is awesome. You have some neutrals, you have some murky greens, some deeper greens, some pops of color, just an awesome variety of shades. Super fun shimmers. Look at that. That's gorgeous. And actually, same thing as Beauty Bay. At the end of 2025, I placed an order with Cosmic Brushes. I think it was maybe during their Black Friday sale. But the items that I picked up were new releases, so they didn't qualify for the sale. And actually, you guys will see that section shortly. Anyway, my point in bringing that up is I was happy to discover that ordering from Cosmic Beauty didn't have any additional duties on top of it. The duties were included, so the total price I paid when ordering from their website was the total price. Alright, and here we have the Nude Trolls. So this palette came out with this version and then a Cool Trolls, I think it's called Cool Trolls version, which I opted out of because like I was saying, at the time when I ordered these palettes, I wasn't super into cool tones, but this neutral palette is gorgeous. You still have some pops of color. Like, check out this shimmer. Kind of has like a bit of a brown base with gold and orange and green reflex. How cool. Then we have this one. Look at that. That's so pretty, right? And again, the formula with Cosmic Beauty is outstanding. Pigmented, super easy to blend out, buttery, just fabulous. Of my 3 Cosmic Brushes palettes, I'm decluttering none, hanging on to all of them. Alright, so now we're on to the majority or the bulk of my indie brand palettes. I began my indie brand journey around fall or the later months of 2024, and I've been blown away and having so much fun discovering brands, and I'm pretty sure for the rest of this video, I'm decluttering nothing. All of these palettes I've purchased myself or they were gifted to me by my friend Christy. Each brand that I've tried out has really impressed me. So starting off with Odin's Eye, this is the Norns palette. Look at how interesting this color story is. There are obviously a bunch of shades that I haven't even dipped into, haven't even made a dent in, because I think that there's only 3 shades of this palette that I've actually put on my eyes. Those 3 are Colorful Black, Passion, and Pink Chameleon. Odin's Eye is actually one of the first indie brands that I started out with on my indie brand journey. The formula and the color stories are just so creative. So colorful. Like, let's check out a few of these shades. This one, Amber Palace. It's a marbled shimmer shade. Like, look at that. Pink Chameleon. It's just beautiful. A beautiful topper. A beautiful inner corner shade. Colorful Black I like to use for deepening up. Look at how smooth this is. But even in this palette, you get a couple of neutrals to pair with your colorful shades. Let's swatch Hallucination. This one is a little bit of a grittier, but then actually blended out, it's super soft and smooth. Let's see Optimism. Like, look at that. Indie brand palettes just inspire so much fun and creativity. I absolutely love it. Next, we have 2 of the collabs, the Halloween collabs with Angelica Nickfist here on YouTube. But let's start off with this one. This is the Trick or Treat palette. Look at this cover art. It's just gorgeous. So creative, so fun, so bright and fabulous. As you can see, I've barely touched this palette. I've barely utilized it, but I love this color story. You get a variety of shades, a variety of textures even. Let's check some of them out. Just wow. And same thing, I love that in this palette, within a mixture of very vibrant and colorful shades, you still have a deepening up shade and a light shade. I obviously want to put these palettes to more use. Now it's the Little Ghost palette. Same thing, look at this cover art. It's so beautiful. Another super fun color story. And I obviously haven't even made a dent. I think I've used this shade. Maybe that's it. And now that I'm into more blues, I used to shy away from blue eyeshadow completely. But 2025, I made it a goal to push myself out of my own comfort zone. And I've discovered that blues don't freak me out as much as they used to. Again, I've told this story a few times, but the whole reason why I shied away from blue eyeshadow is because when I was a kid, I used to dance competitively. And for one of my very first competitions, I guess my mom didn't get the memo where all of us were supposed to have brown eyeshadow or neutral leaning eyeshadow, and she put blue eyeshadow on me. And ever since then, it was just kind of ingrained into me that I'm not supposed to wear blue eyeshadow. But I'm happy that I've overcome that I've broken through that, because blues are fun. And I know my husband likes blue eyeshadow on me. Well, he likes all colors on me, but let's check out some more of these shades. Oh, look at this topper. I absolutely would love to get more use out of these palettes. But again, for me, it's even just looking at this color story brings me joy. These are like collector's items for me. Alright, and the last Odin's Eye palette I have is the collab with Morgan Turner. It's a Love Language palette. I must say that out of all of my Odin's Eye palettes, this is the one that I got the most use out of so far. All of her shade names are personal to her story, to her journey with her husband. The way that she laid out this color story, you can use this quad, this quad, this quad, this quad. She even did a video where she paired two shades together and created eye looks that way. For Odin's Eye, I'm aware that this is a little bit more on the neutral side, but it's in line with Morgan Turner's style of makeup, how she likes to do her makeup. I absolutely love this palette, this color story. I'm into neutrals. I'm into pinks. I'm absolutely into purples. This is another fabulous Odin's Eye collab. Hanging on to all four of my Odin's Eye palettes. Now we're on to Nomad Cosmetics. I love their concept. I love the fact that it's a husband and wife duo that creates palettes based on their travels. I think that is so interesting. Here we have the Ghost Town USA palette. Can you guys see that? It has the, what is it called? The lenticular design. Super cool packaging. Look at this color story. Some of the matte shades are a little bit muted. The shimmers are gorgeous. I'd like to get more use out of this palette. But they're so buttery. Look at this shimmer. Just beautiful. I like that this palette offers some neutrals with some pops of color. And like Odin's Eye, Nomad is another one of the brands that I first started with on my indie brand journey, which is probably why I haven't dipped into this palette as much as I would have liked, because then I started purchasing palette after palette after palette. So my goal for 2026 is to revisit the things that I love in my collection. And all of my indie brand palettes fall into that category. They're just incredible. Okay, now we have the Haunted Europe palette, also with a super cool lenticular design on the cover. I actually picked up these two palettes as a bundle. And before the crazy tariffs that were implemented. So honestly, all of the newer palettes released in 2025, I passed on, mainly because the website that I purchased my indie brand palettes from is ifeelbeautiful.ca. I'm sure you guys have heard me talk about them numerous times, and they don't carry Nomad. I have yet to investigate and discover whether or not nowadays ordering from Nomad Cosmetics would incur those crazy tariffs. but I do love their formula. And this color story still has some of the muted matte colors, but a few more pops of color in the shimmers. Like, look at this. Gorgeous. I keep joking that I need to quit my day job just so I have more time to play with my makeup collection, to play with my hobby. But then that's not really realistic because without my day job, I wouldn't have the funds to facilitate my hobby. Now we have 3 palettes from What's Up Beauty. Let's start off with this one. This is the geode one. Yeah, geodes. My mom has an extensive rock collection. Geodes, huge geodes in her home, all kinds of minerals, rocks. I've traveled to Sedona numerous times in my lifetime. And this cover is so beautiful. Same thing, I haven't got as much use out of this palette as I would have liked to. This palette I chose mainly for this shade, Earth-like. I've heard some people call this kind of multi-chrome or duochrome as a scarab shade. Is that correct? Not 100% sure. But yeah, I'd like to get more use out of this one. Let's check out Peridot. Cool. Look at that. Wow. Next is Monsoon. Desert Monsoon. Sorry, is that what it says? Desert Monsoon? Yeah. Also super cool. I don't even think I've touched this palette. What is wrong with me? Okay, this is absolutely one that I need to test out, get it on my eyes. Oh, look, there's even a Joshua Tree shade. A fun color story with matte neutrals. I'd love to see what I can create with this. And this one is Dragon Eye. This cover art is incredible. It's raised. I chose this palette because my daughter is born in the year of the dragon. And how pretty is this? Same thing. I don't even know if I've... Oh, wow. Look at that shimmer. Let's see. Fire. Wow. That's so pretty. All right. I need to utilize these What's Up Beauty palettes more. On to Adept Cosmetics. I had my eye on this brand for quite some time, but it wasn't until I discovered this palette and this color story. This is the Minka palette, and everything about this palette just blew me away. Fell in love with the brand, and then I discovered that with the new packaging, they've reformulated some of their shadows. These shimmers knocked my socks off. This shade Sandra. Sandra is the name of my best friend. We've been best friends since grade 2. Like, look at this. Ava. Gorgeous. Anna. Like, yeah, I had so much fun creating looks with this palette. Even this Joshua shade. Look at how cool that is. And because this is my first palette with the brand, I can't speak on whether it's improved or compare it to their old formula, but all I can say is this palette blended out so beautifully. The mattes are pigmented, smooth, buttery, easy to work with, and all of these shimmers are just incredible. Like, ugh. So shimmery, so impactful. I love, love, love this palette. So then when I heard that they were coming out with another palette, I had to pick it up. This is the Emo palette. I am also a fan of black and white. My Jeep is white and black. I just put this cloth down because the bottom of this bin that I'm using, and I use this bin to kind of give me a guideline of where my filming area is. So I apologize if it bothers you for some reason, but I just put this down because the bottom of this bin is raised, so without it, it kept spinning. I don't know if you guys noticed that or not. Anyway, back to this palette. A lot of people's opinion is that it's too similar to the Minka palette, but I find that it still has variety. It is different enough. Look at this shimmer. The mattes are different. Look at this one. How gorgeous. I would love to get more use out of this palette this year though. Now on to Singe Beauty. Singe Beauty is Angelica Nickfus here on YouTube's brand. I love the Singe Beauty brand. Her brushes are incredible. The FO2 is my absolute favorite. And actually the FO1 has become my most used foundation brush, mainly because it's small. But anyway, sorry, we're talking about eyeshadow right now. This is her first palette, the Galactic Visitor. And her formula blew me away. The mattes are so buttery, pigmented, easy to blend out. Her shimmer formula is probably the most talked about because they do not crease. I don't have a whole lot of issues with shimmer shades creasing on my eyelids, but I know that she does. So she worked really hard to create shimmer formulas that don't crease on hooded eyes or more mature eyes. And when I first tried out this palette, I actually did looks using the rose. This color story and formula blew me away so much that when I heard that she's coming out with another palette, I just had to grab that as well. So now on to Agate Temptation. This is her second release and another super fun, bright color story. All of the shades go well together. She's also managed to keep her price point on the lower side. She also has an interest and a love for rocks and minerals, which is why her second palette is called Agate Temptation. And like I was saying earlier, I grew up in the world of rocks and minerals, so I appreciate this color story. This one is a multi-chrome, duochrome, multi-chrome. I'm not exactly sure, but it has a flip to it. Just gorgeous. Same thing. Her formula is the same with all of her palettes and even just her cover art. Beautiful. Now on to her latest release. It's the Paisley Hoot palette. This palette I love. I love the cover art. I love the little owls that she has hidden within the cover. Super cute. It's kind of like a 70s inspired neutral palette. I'm sorry that my palettes are so dirty. The dirtier they are, it just means that I've put them to use. But anyway, this color story, super fun, amazing shimmers, pigmented, easy to blend out, buttery, soft mattes. I love that she came out with her version of a neutral palette. I've also heard that she's pretty excited for her 2026 lineup of launches, so I'm also excited for that. I really, really love this brand, and I'm so grateful that IFeelBeautiful.ca carries it. Now on to Glaminatrix Cosmetics. It's a female-owned Australian brand. I purchased mine from IFeelBeautiful.ca. I feel like I'm going to be repeating myself quite a bit throughout my indie brand collection, because it really is. Indie brand formulas in general are outstanding. So this is the Nearly Neutral palette. Last year, there was a few months in a row where a bunch of the indie brands were coming out with neutral palettes. And as much as I love color, I love bright, fun color, I also equally love a good neutral palette. The Glaminatrix formula is outstanding. Like I said, I'm going to be repeating myself here, but this Smolder shade, look at that. Wow. I love the Glaminatrix formula as well. Now we have the Tones of Turd. So this palette actually started as an April Fool's joke, and I guess enough of us dreamed it into reality that she actually went ahead and created the palette. But she's so considerate and thoughtful that she created the exact same palette with the same color story for people who aren't into poop humor. It's called the Grounded palette. This one, the Tones of Turd, was a limited release, and the Grounded one I think is still available on their website, just with different shade names. Same exact color story though. This color story is neutral leaning, but you have fun pops of color. And these shimmers are insane. Like, look at this one. Look at these shimmers. Just gorgeous. Crazy, right? So much fun. I even picked up this palette for Christmas for my work partner and housemate, Johnny, and he absolutely loves it. I've already wiped my hands 2 times, and there's still so much shimmer. You know, I wish cleaning off your hands from swatches didn't take so long and wasn't rough on the tops of my hands. Like, my skin is sensitive and it's cracking, or else I would sit here and swatch everything for you guys. These are my 2 Glaminatrix palettes. Moving on to Bella Beauty Bar, another brand with outstanding mattes and shimmers, special shades formulas. This is the Unoriginal Nudes. And out of all of my indie brand palettes, this one is probably the most used. The shimmers are outstanding. The mattes are super buttery, pigmented, and easy to blend out. Everything is easy to work with. These pans are magnetic, so if you want to take them out and rearrange, you can. I like to keep my palettes the way that they are. But yeah, I love, love, love this palette. I put this one in my favorites of 2025. Here is the Ultraviolet palette. It's the collab with Deandra Nicole. Look at this color story. I love purples. This palette, I also picked one up for my mom because purple is her favorite color. These shimmers are insane. Like, look at that. Just wow. Deandra Nicole curated a beautiful monochromatic ultraviolet. This really is an ultraviolet palette. And actually yesterday I picked up her new palette called Pinky Promise. It's the new collab with Bella Beauty Bar. It's described as this one's younger sister, a monochromatic pink palette. It's on its way to me. I'm super excited for it. I also can't wait to use the 2 palettes together. Now we have Gourmand Girls. I'm pretty sure that I have every single palette that she released last year, with the exception of, I forget what it's called, but she did a collab with some beauty box. I can't remember the name of it. That's one palette that I don't have, but this Bitten palette was my introduction to the brand, and I fell in love. Look at this color story. This was last year's Valentine's release, and actually, as I'm filming today, I know that her this year's Valentine's release is coming out soon. I can't wait for it. These mattes are super buttery. The shimmers are incredibly impactful. And if I remember correctly, this was the first palette that I was able to create looks using every single shade. The owner of Gourmand Girls herself, Christina, is a beautiful, fabulous human being. She's so warm, friendly, welcoming, encouraging, thoughtful. I've been blessed to interact with her last year, to get to know her a little bit, and it truly just makes me love the brand even more. She believes in her products. The cover art is fun and creative. I think they're done by Doodles by Bunny. I have heard, though, that some people with more mature eyes find her shadows a bit on the patchy side. I haven't had that issue with any of these palettes. I absolutely love her formula. I love working with her formula. The special shades, the mattes, all of it. Gourmand Girls and Singe Beauty are the 2 brands that I pretty much picked up every single release that they came out with last year. Because like I've mentioned before, I purchase everything with my own money. So for the most part, I don't just buy everything that's new. First of all, I can't afford that. Second of all, that's not the journey that I'm on. I'm still thoughtful and careful, and I choose the palettes that call to me, the color stories that I resonate with. I just love Gourmand Girls palettes. They're like the perfect size, in my opinion, whether it's this shape, this rectangular shape, or even this size. This one is the Call of the Sirens. Love, love, love this palette as well. Check out these jewel tones. Again, I don't know what it is with the color stories that she creates and puts together. I'm able to create multiple looks using every single shade. I love the depth of this palette. I also picked up the face palette that came with this launch, and that was my first indie brand face palette. Introduction to blushes and highlighters with an indie brand formula, and it blew me away. I absolutely love this palette in particular. But yes, all of the Gourmand Girls palettes I do love. Then she came out with her version of a neutral palette. This is the Mocha Moment. And how fun is this neutral palette? You still have pops of color, high impact shimmers, buttery matte formula, pigmented but easy to blend out and work with. Like, check out this matte. Look at that. And then this shimmer. This shimmer. All of these shades are just incredible. Look at that. Beautiful. Then came, oh, this is in the wrong order. Then came Trapped. How fun is this? From the Trapped collection, I also picked up one of the highlighters. I absolutely love it. This color story is super fun and vibrant. But again, the looks that I created, I absolutely loved. I just love her color stories. I love her vision. Then came the Nevermore palette, and I think this was the Halloween release. Inspired by Edgar Allan Poe and the Wednesday Show. This shade, Karamia, is gorgeous. Look at that. But yeah, another super interesting, fun color story. Lots to play with. I love the little references. Little Storm Cloud, that's what Gomez calls Wednesday. Karamia is what Gomez calls Morticia. Another super fun palette. And then I think after Nevermore is when that palette that I don't have came out. I can't even remember what it's called, but it has like a cottage on the front or something like that. Anyway, for Christmas, she released Mostly Merry. And in a fun package, this cover is magnetic and it just comes off like that. A 9-pan palette in the shape of a snow globe, super fun and cute. Due to the timing of when this palette came out, I only did a short, or I did a reel with one look. Every other Gourmand Girls palette I did multiple looks with. This is the only palette that so far I've only done one look with. I can't wait to try out some more. But yeah, I love her formula. And how cute is this? So in total, I have 6 palettes from Gourmand Girls. Next, we have the Rick and Morty palette from Glamlight. This is my one Glamlight palette, a super fun kind of rainbow palette, a mixture of mattes and shimmers. And like Colourpop, I've heard that Glamlight has some palettes that have an amazing formula. Thankfully, this is one of them. And then some palettes with certain collabs that are kind of just meh. But Rick and Morty is a show that we used to watch together as a family when my kids were younger. I know, kind of inappropriate for young kids, but I guess we are kind of inappropriate as a family. Anyway, I love the color story. I love how fun it is. But yeah, love this palette. Here we have 2 palettes that my good friend Christy sent me. The first one is from Ace Beauté. It's the Classical Paradise. I'm so grateful to have met Christy, to have the friendship that we have. She's so good to me. I love this palette. I love the look that I created with it. I would like to get some more use out of it, create some more looks, maybe using some of the greens. But she sent it to me because she wanted me to try out the Ace Beauté formula, and I love it. She also sent this to me. It's Sydney Grace. She loves the Sydney Grace formula. She wanted me to try it out. This is the Love's Journey palette. And yeah, I'm so grateful to her for sending this to me so I can try out the formula. It's incredible. It's so buttery soft, pigmented, easy to work with, easy to blend out. Now on to the last few palettes in my collection of indie brands that I've actually used and tried out. The last section of this video, I'm going to show you the rest of my palette collection, but those palettes I either haven't gotten around to trying out, or I purchased it at the end of last year and they haven't made their way into my collection. And same thing, I haven't even touched them yet. So let's talk about this palette. This is the Underland palette from Ensley Rain. If I remember correctly, this actually might be the very first indie brand palette that I purchased. I'm aware that Ensley Rain kind of got into some hot water at the end of 2024, but again, I didn't take the time to dig deep into what exactly happened, who said what, who did what. All I know is Ensley Rain's formula is probably my favorite. I know I keep using the word favorite, but really, this palette absolutely blew me away. I love the color story. These shimmers knocked my socks off. I think in my second video, when I first started my channel, I used some of the shades in this palette, but I didn't showcase this palette by itself. And I actually have the companion palette to this palette, the Shattered Looking Glass. You guys will see that shortly. I still haven't had time to get that on my eyes, but this palette, even though it has deeper tones, you still have a matte white and a deepening up shade. You can even use this shade as a deepening up shade. This Jabberwocky, like, look at that. This shimmer shade, the Red Queen, it's my favorite red shimmer shade. This one, Shattered Looking Glass. Like, look at this. Outstanding. What is this one? Wicked Wildflowers? Look at that. Just gorgeous. Kind of going back to what I was saying about Juvia's place, we can't fault people for having opinions. That's the beauty of a human life, right? We have opinions, we have preferences, and of course, if we were all the same kind of person, that would take away the beauty of our individuality. Again, I'm not condoning bullying behavior. I'm not condoning certain groups being singled out or being attacked, but sometimes we have to think about, are they actually being attacked, or is someone just expressing how they feel about something? Again, I'm speaking very generally. I don't mean to upset anyone. I don't mean to cause any problems. I'm just saying that we all have different opinions. And whether we choose to support certain brands or not support certain brands based on their opinions or based on whatever, that is also every individual's right to choose, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Ensley Rain puts out an amazing color story, amazing formula in their special shades, in their mattes, just beautiful. Next we have the Magnetic Mineralia palette. This is the collab with Andromeda and thru Cosmetics, and look at this cover art, just incredible. It was designed by their tattoo artist, which I think is super cool. They curated a super interesting palette. These shimmers are insane. Like, look at this. The reflect in them is outstanding. I'd love to discover more from thru Cosmetics, but again, I'm just waiting for there to be a color story that resonates with me. Now we have from Blend Bunny Cosmetics, Sugar and Spite. I absolutely love this palette. Fell in love with the Blend Bunny formula. I love this cover art. This palette is a relaunch. Something to do with the name. I can't remember what the name was. Something about grunge. Sugar and grunge or something like that. I can't remember the details off the top of my head right now. But I'm so happy they re-released it and came up with cheeky names. I love it. Totally up my alley. This palette is the first palette I did 7 looks with. In that video, I followed their quads. Their new kind of palettes all have these quads where you can create an eye look with each quad. And then my 7th look was a mixture of shades. I had so much fun creating that video. I love working with the Blend Bunny formula. I love that in this palette, you get some neutral options and colorful options. I also love that you get some turquoisey, aqua teal colors and some different kind of greens. You'll see in a second, this is actually the second palette that I picked up from Blend Bunny. The first palette I got, I wasn't able to film with it, so it sat in a bin with a bunch of other palettes that I hadn't had a chance to get around to. That's kind of the issue with my channel specifically. I do this as a hobby when I have time to film, and I don't think people realize how much time and energy it takes into creating these videos. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining at all. I love doing it. I just mean for a new release to come out, for me to order it and wait for it to be delivered, then film, then edit, and then get the video up, it's already kind of considered late, or the palette has already been out for, let's say, a month. And because I don't get these palettes in PR, it's not about them being free. It's about the early access to them. It is one of those things where by the time I've gotten a palette, I have to think about how much time has passed. Can I get this up in time where there's still interest? And like I've said many times before, I am a hairstylist by day. I'm also a mom, and this is my hobby. So I'm grateful to you guys for still following along on my journey, even though a palette I might be showcasing might be considered old already. But the pro to that is you guys can see an actual consumer using her own money to purchase these products and give you my opinion. At least that's what I hope you guys take from it anyway. So I think moving forward for this year, I want to grant myself grace. If I purchase a palette because I love the color story, it shouldn't matter if it's considered old or not. I'm still going to utilize it. I'm still going to film a video with it. That being said, I still might get caught up in a little bit of the timing of releases. We'll see. But anyway, back to this palette specifically. I love, love, love this palette. This was also in my favorites of 2025. Here we have the Adventure Time collab with Lethal Cosmetics. It's the Candy Kingdom palette, and this launch, I actually picked up the entire bundle. It had everything from a headband to a pocket mirror to lip scrubs, lip glosses, eyeliners, blushes, a super fun collection. And this collab with Adventure Time holds a special place in my heart because when my kids were little, so pre-Rick and Morty days, this is the show that we would watch together as a family. And even one year for Halloween, we all dressed up as characters from Adventure Time. My son was Finn the human, my husband was Jake the dog, I was Lady Rainicorn, and our daughter, who was just over one and a bit at the time, I'm pretty sure, she was BMO. My husband made her a BMO costume out of a diaper box, actually. Anyway, this is what the palette looks like. How fun and colorful. The names are awesome. My husband actually knows way more about the show than I do, or he's retained more of the show than I have. Anyway, this palette is super cute, super fun. The only thing that I would prefer is if there were more deeper shades. That's just my preference though. I prefer a colorful palette to have more than one deepening up shade, just because I like a deeper outer corner with my eyes. But yeah, a super fun color story. I love this. Now we have from Unearthly Cosmetics, Murky Meadows. The formula is incredible. This is my first experience with Unearthly Cosmetics, and I love the formula. The mattes are pigmented, buttery, smooth, easy to blend out. And I love this 9-pan color story. You have a deep shade. These shimmers are gorgeous. Like, look at that. I love a deep shimmer. Not everybody does, but I certainly do. I love the looks that I've created with this palette. I actually currently have an order coming from Unearthly Cosmetics themselves. I ordered from their website. I just found out that I had to pay almost $70 Canadian in duties ordering from their website, because normally I order from ifeelbeautiful.ca, but I'm silly. I passed on the Gothic Romance palette, but then I kept thinking about it. And then I was going to purchase that and the face palette from ifeelbeautiful.ca, but ifeelbeautiful.ca was sold out of the face palette. So then I was thinking I'll just order one order from the Unearthly Cosmetics website so that I only have to pay shipping one time, because I wanted both. I wanted the eyeshadow palette and the face palette. I don't regret it though. I knew that there was going to be duties on top of it, or tariffs or whatever, but that's how much I realized that I wanted to have both of those palettes. Now we have the Artificer palette. This is by Fantasy Cosmetica. I've been wanting to try something from this brand for quite a while, and this color story just called to me. These shimmers are insane. They blew me away. At first I was thinking there might not be a whole lot of looks that you can create with this 9-pan palette, but once I started working with it, and even in my video, I changed my mind. I was like, actually, we're gonna do more than just one look. These mattes are super pigmented, buttery, but easy to work with, easy to blend out, and these shimmers are just incredible. Look at that. I love this palette. Alright, now on to this batch of eyeshadow palettes. These are the palettes that I purchased last year, but unfortunately hadn't gotten around to making videos with them, hadn't gotten around to trying them out. They're all untouched, so I won't be swatching any of these. And I was thinking maybe the way to showcase them is to do a video with multiple looks, with multiple palettes, that kind of thing. I haven't quite decided yet. But let's start off with this one. This is from Lethal Cosmetics. It's the Spellcraft palette, and it's like in the design of a grimoire. How cute, right? But look at this color story. I even started to take a look at this color story and see what kind of looks I would come up with. But yeah, just the busyness of life, I hadn't gotten around to it. But I can't wait. Like, look at these shimmers. Like I said, it's untouched. Even though I so badly want to touch them right now, I'm not going to. Because when I film eyeshadow palettes, I like it to be my actual first impression. But yeah, with all of these eyeshadow palettes, I can't wait to try them out. Here we have the Dead Roses palette by Bella Beauté Bar. This color story is just so up my alley. I love pinks, reds, purples. I can't wait to try this shade out. Actually, all of these shimmers, look, they're so interesting. I'm so curious to discover what the finish is like. Although I must say, these two shades would probably end up looking very similar on my eyes. But yeah, beautiful color story. Even the cover art is beautiful. We have The Beauty Below from Blend Bunny Cosmetics. This palette kind of came out around the same time as the Call of the Sirens palette by Gourmand Girls. A similar kind of jewel tone palette, but again, arranged in the quads. I can't wait to showcase this palette, or even try out this palette. I think the original reason why I held off on this palette was because I really wanted to do the plan that I did with the Sugar in Spite palette, which is one look with each quad, and then a 7th look using some random shades. But then again, like I keep saying, life got busy and I never got around to it. And then it became an old palette. But I'm still going to do it, because look at this. Seeing a palette like this truly just puts a smile on my face. Now we have this palette. I was so excited for this palette. It's the Light in Your Eyes palette by Ensley Rain. It's still untouched. I can't wait to actually try it out. Truthfully, I kind of held off on it because when I got this was around the time when I discovered that they were in a little bit of trouble. And it's not so much that I didn't want to talk about them. My channel was new at the time, and I didn't want to get into the drama of it all. But yeah, just this palette, it's kind of on the neutral side, but look at these shimmers. Everything is so interesting. Like this Lucid Shine shade has 2 parts to it. I don't know if you guys can see that. It's like a split pan. I can't wait to actually get this on my eyes, to touch it, to play with it. And then sometime last year, closer towards the end of the year, iFeelBeautiful.ca finally stocked Day Day Signature. So I picked up this palette. It's from The Roots. I've heard such amazing things about this brand that I was so excited when it was stocked by ifeelbeautiful.ca. I have yet to touch it. I so badly want to try this shade or all the shades. But what happened was I picked up this palette and then right away she started knocking out a whole bunch of other palettes. And then again, it fell into the category of maybe this palette is on the older side. The interest in it died down. But I have to keep reminding myself that for now, my channel is my experiences. It's my interest that I'm sharing with you guys. I'm not at the level yet where I get things ahead of launch dates, where I have time to work with them to get the video up in time for their release. Who knows? Maybe one day in the future, that's what we'll grow into. But yeah, I can't wait to try out this formula because I've heard nothing but amazing things. All right, and now we have two palettes. This is not really an eyeshadow palette. We'll get to this in a second. This is the Rotten Collection by Blend Bunny and May Pang. She's Microsoft on Instagram. She is so creative, talented. She's truly an artist. This palette, I have to share with you guys, these mold patches are fuzzy, which I think is super fun. This is what the palette looks like. This palette is just so interesting. And now that I've had some experience with the Blend Bunny formula, I can't wait to dip into it. This palette is all mattes. You have even a matte white, a matte black, a seemingly chaotic color story, but I can't wait to dig into it. When I first got this palette, I was like, okay, I really want to do something super creative, but with doing hair for a living, we often have moments with our creativity where it's like, it can't just be like on the spot, like, let's go, let's be creative. I wanted to showcase something outside of my comfort zone. But then I was thinking, I also wanted to showcase how you can take a palette like this, a super creative palette, and make wearable eye looks. Then I thought about it for too long. And then, like I said, life got busy, more palettes got released, and I really wanted to do this palette justice. So that's why I held off. So we'll see how I feel, what I actually end up coming up with this palette, but I'm going to say this right now. I can't wait for it. This palette is one of those palettes that's on my mind when I'm about to go to sleep at night, that kind of weird thing. And then with the collection, I also have, is it a lip oil or some kind of lip product? But this is the Efflorescence palette. It has 6 iridescent shades. I apologize, I'm not going to swatch anything because like I said, I like to save them for when I'm about to film a video. But from what I've heard, you can use these shades even as highlighters. You can use them as toppers for your eyeshadow shades. Just super cool. I don't know if you guys can see with the camera, but they are all different tones. And here is the Shattered Looking Glass palette. It's the companion palette to the Underland, one of my favorite palettes of all time. I can't wait to try out this crazy shade. I just can't wait to get this on my eyes and to use it in tandem with the Underland palette. I find this color story to be super interesting. You have some murky greens, you have different pops of color, and these special shades are just so interesting. I can't wait. Here we have 2 Nomad palettes sent to me by my good friend Christy. She's so sweet. She picked up a bundle, I think, that included this Berlin Underground, but she already owns this palette, so she sent me the brand new one. Look at this color story. I can't wait to try it out. And then she sent me an older Nomad palette. I don't even know how to say it, but she sent this palette to me in case I wanted to test out the older formula, which is this palette, and see what the difference is, or just to have an experience with an older palette. I'm excited to try this one out as well. But in terms of color story, for my taste, I do wish that this palette had a deeper shade for my outer corners, but still, I'm excited to test both of these out. Thank you again so much, Christy. Okay, and now we're on to the last batch of palettes that I have. These are all the purchases that I made at the end of last year, and I haven't touched them. I haven't tried them out. Some of them I even just took them out of the box right now. First up, we have 2 of the Natasha Denona Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone palettes. This one is the soft one, I'm mainly nosy and curious. I wanted to try it out for myself. I wanted to see what this formula is like, if it's the same as what she's been putting out lately. I wanted to see if I can still utilize neutral palettes in a mainstream formula. And then here is the dramatic one. A little bit deeper tones. I would imagine, because I have both, I would probably create looks using both palettes. Next, we have a few things that I picked up from Beauty Bay. This is the Collector's Edition color palette. It comes with some eyeshadows, some highlighters, some blushes, and bronzers. I mainly picked this up because it was on sale for some ridiculously affordable price, and they've put 3 palettes into one. 3 palettes, I think, that are either discontinued or no longer available. This section is from the Book of Magic. This one is from Metamorphic, and then Age of Opulence on this side. I love the Beauty Bay formula, and these colors just called to me. And the fact that this box comes with... Is that visible? Can you guys see that? Okay, this box comes with blushes, highlighters, and bronzers. I haven't tried out cheek products from Beauty Bay, and I'm excited to do so. And like I said, this collector's box was on sale for something super ridiculously affordable. I can't wait to try this out. Although I must say, this packaging is kind of awkward. Then I decided, since I was placing an order anyway, I passed on this palette when it first came out. This is the Desert Haze palette. Look at how interesting. It kind of makes me think of the Yucca palette by Natasha Denona, but not quite. It has a bit more warm shades to it. Excited for this as well. I also picked up the Dark Lights palette. I'm not 100% sure when this palette came out. Like, I don't know if it was 2025's holiday release or not, but super interesting. Even though this is a primarily dark palette, you still have some lighter shades to add contrast to your looks. The shimmers look super interesting. Can't wait to try this one as well. I also picked up another 42 pan palette from Beauty Bay. It's the Midnight palette. Oh no, this shade got damaged. I don't think it came like this though, because this had to have happened in my moving of things, because I don't think it didn't come this way. I'm just gonna quickly see if I can push it back in. So with the Midnight palette, I actually picked up, is it the 20 or 16 pan version? The smaller version? I picked that up for my mom for Christmas of 2024. I don't know if I just didn't even notice the 42 pan palette version, because the smaller one mainly had deeper blues and deeper purples. But with my eyeshadow looks, I like contrast. So with the 42 pan palette, you get a lot more lighter options to create said contrast with your eyeshadow looks. I'm excited to try this one out as well. Now we have the Essential palette from Galactic. So Christy messaged me saying that her girlfriend had a couple of these and she was picking one up for herself, and she asked me if I wanted one. I heard about this palette through Nikki LaRose and I wanted to try out the formula. So I'm super grateful to Christy and her friend who made this happen for me. Here we have 2 palettes from Cosmic Beauty. This one is the Starlight Society, and I actually picked up the entire bundle. It comes in a little chest with highlighters. I don't know if there's lip products. I can't remember. I don't want to speak incorrectly, but this is the eyeshadow palette. It just looks so fun. And this palette was actually ranked #1 by Angelica Nyqvist here on YouTube. According to her, this is the best palette of 2025. I can't wait to try it, along with all of the other products that the bundle came with. Then we have the Death palette. This palette launched on Black Friday. And check out this color story. I can't wait to try this one out as well. I love the Cosmic Beauty formula. I love tarot cards, although I passed on the Lovers one. Was that what it was called? Just because I felt like that palette had too many pastels or too many light shades for my taste. Now we have the Haunt Me palette by Blend Bunny Cosmetics. I actually picked up the whole bundle for this as well. So it came with some lippies, some lip liners. It's also arranged in the quad format. I love vampires. I love vampire-y type looks. Can't wait to try this out. Here we have the Crystallized palette by Bella Beauty Bar. Super pretty cover art. And just look at this color story. At first I was a little bit on the fence with this palette because like I said, there's only one deep shade. But I was shopping on ifeelbeautiful.ca on my birthday, actually. And I thought, why not? Because these shimmer shades look so interesting. I was curious. I'm happy I picked it up and I can't wait to try this one out. So that birthday order that I was just talking about from ifeelbeautiful.ca includes this Lethal Cosmetics palette, the Serpentine palette, the Crystallized palette, the Haunt Me collection, and I picked up the Unearthly Cosmetics Dead Cute blush quad or blush palette. But this one I haven't even opened. It's still sealed. Let's open it together. Okay, so like I said, this is the Serpentine palette from Lethal Cosmetics. What a cool package, hey? Oh, I also picked up the balm, the lip balm. Wait, these have shimmer shade covers. Ooh, look at this color story. How fun. I can't wait to test this out as well. Like I said, I have lots of work to do for 2026. You know what? Because I wasn't decluttering, I stopped counting my eyeshadow palettes. My apologies. I totally forgot that I do have some eyeshadow palettes that I'm decluttering. I stopped counting during my indie brands, but by the time we upload this video, hopefully by then I would have counted and have a total. But of my eyeshadow palette collection, I am decluttering 8 decluttered eyeshadow palettes. But that brings us to the end of this declutter video. I hope you enjoyed checking out my eyeshadow palette collection. Eyeshadow is my favorite of all makeup. Stay tuned for the last installment of my declutter/collection series. It's going to be everything else eyes. Eyeliners, cream shadows, liquid eyeshadows, sparkle toppers, mascara, things like that. And until then, thank you all so much for taking time out of your day to hang out with me. I appreciate you all so much. I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day, or if it's nighttime for you, I hope you get a good night's rest. I'll see you guys in the next one.
Ha ha ha!